Hey guys, welcome back to another Warframe video. Today we're going to be looking at something a bit different. I have recently finished maxing out all of the weaponry and gear in the game that I possibly can, with the exception of 2 of the daily login weapons, which will forever remain grey in my profile, obviously until I get them from logging in, but there's nothing I can do about it and it's making me angry. So anyway, today we are actually going to be looking at obtaining some other things in the game, which are not going to pop up in my profile, but I don't have access to them yet, so I thought it would be fun to obviously just show this on video as to how I go about doing this, and how a lot of people go about doing this, and that is collecting the landing craft. So I'm currently missing the scimitar and also the mantis, and their parts drop in rare and reinforced containers in each of the different tile sets in Warframe. So one part will drop in corrupted, one part will drop in Grenier, and one part will drop in corpus. Now obviously you can just buy these parts for platinum, they're actually pretty cheap on the marketplace relatively speaking. But yeah, I thought it would just be fun to put together a little video of how I like to do it. There's plenty of videos out there on this. We are going to be using Golden Instinct and also the Parallax's air support charge. Overseeing Eye or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it's called. But essentially we are just going to be basically trying to track down rare crates, which, you know, players actually don't find a whole lot of just playing casually in this game. So should be fun. Now on top of the parts for the aircraft, or the landing craft, sorry, you can get obviously former, you can get detonite injectors, you can get field drone, and you can also get affinity boosters as well. And also during this farm we are going to be actually picking up quite a few Ayatan sculptures, so whether you want endo or just to decorate your ship, it's a pretty good way to get your hands on those. So yeah, today we are going to be using Titania. I am aware that a lot of people like to use Lavos for Golden Instinct, or Lavos, or whatever you want to call him, as his abilities can basically reduce the cooldown time on this. It does have an innate cooldown of 20 seconds, and Lavos is the only one that can reduce that. So a lot of people like to use him, but I honestly just prefer using a super fast frame that can get around quickly. Hence, we are running Titania today. So first things first, Archon shards. None of these matter at all. They are for a completely different build. Run whatever you want here. On the build itself, like I said, we have Golden Instinct on our second. You will need to be rank 15, I believe, on the helmet in order to get this ability. So make sure you are subsuming frames as you go in Warframe. It's always a good habit. Otherwise, you won't get up to some of these abilities, and also the weekly invigorations, which I should point out I do have one on now. My efficiency is at 175%. Without the invigoration, it would just be at 160. It's not going to make a whole load of difference, so just so you guys are aware of that and are perhaps wondering why it's up at 175% with just fleeting expertise on, that is why. But yeah, the build essentially just revolves around efficiency and range. So we are just going to be sat in our 4th ability, and we're going to be using Golden Instinct as well, and that is basically it. With our max range, our Golden Instinct has a 530 meter radius, which basically means that when we drop in at the start of the mission, there is going to be no chance that this doesn't cover the entire map. And before anyone says, you know, well, sometimes waypoints can appear like 1,000 meters away or whatever, it literally doesn't matter, because in various tile sets, they curve around. They're never just a straight line of 1,000 meters. You're basically always going to have it in range if it's this high. So just bear that in mind as we go. The Parallax air support charge, however, has a much lower radius, and I'll be showing you where I like to use that during the mission. So yeah, that's the build, guys. Not really much else to shout about here. I've only got Archon Vitality on here because, again, I just use it for the other build, the Exterminate build that I like to use, where my Archon charts come in. But yeah, for the most part, just run whatever on this build. As long as you've got range and efficiency, you are fine. Everything else really doesn't matter. I'm running Praedos because it does provide me with a bit of parkour velocity, sprint speed, and slide speed, but I'm not going to be using that while I'm in my 4th, so just run whatever you want. I'm going to be using my Dex Pixia most of the time. This is the build that I use. Run whatever you want. Again, just make sure you're doing enough damage here to take out a capture target, because that's all we're going to be worried about. Focus tree doesn't matter. I'm running Madurai for some extra strength. In terms of your companion, I would run something with Primed Animal Instinct. We are actually going to be using Loot Radar quite a lot during this, so do bear that in mind. And then in terms of our gear, you are going to be wanting to run air support charges. It's not strictly speaking necessary, but it will speed up this farm a considerable amount if you have the parallax with these air support charges. So if we take a look here at equipment and orbiter and landing craft, you can see I have the parallax. You can gain the parts for the parallax in crates in the Zariman, so make sure you get there and get hold of this. And then we're going to be using Orokin Eye air support, which is going to scan for rare items. I believe the radius of this is 150 meters, so yeah, it is a lot smaller than Golden Instinct. So yeah, that's basically the build, guys, and what we are going to be doing is we are going to be going through various capture missions on the map. I'm going to be doing the Grineer one. I already have all the parts that I need from the Void missions. However, if you were doing the Void missions, I would recommend doing either Hepit or Uko. If you were so inclined, Uko can provide you with some nice relic drops, you know, Neos and Mesos. Hepit, I believe, does also drop liths, so, you know, you can also farm those up alongside, whatever's your fancy. And then if you are doing Corpus, then, you know, you can do Venus, you can do Mercury, although Mercury's Grineer now. I'm thinking way in the past, but you can do Venus. It always works. Everything works. So just run whatever tile set faction you particularly need. You can find sort of information on which parts drop where from the online wiki. But yeah, today we are going to be doing one on Saturn. So we're going to be doing Cassini, since the Grineer rare crate contains the parts that I need for the remainder of my landing crafts. So yeah. What we'll do, we'll just hop in here and we'll kind of run through my process for doing this. And then what we'll do it for an hour and we'll see what kind of resources we end up with at the end. So just to show you guys actually before we get into that, if I look in my mods, my Ayatan sculptures, I've just sold all the ones that I had, so we're completely empty. So we'll see how much we end with after an hour, how many sculptures we end up with. And then in terms of detonite injectors, we can see here, Detonite. I have 32 right now, so again, we'll see how many crates we find at the end of the hour. Honestly, it may be that we don't find any at all. It is going to come down to RNG, but we should be able to get through a fair few of these missions in 1 hour. So yeah, without further ado, guys, let's hop into it. Alright guys, so as soon as we're in, we're going to go and hit our second ability. And as you can see there in the bottom right, it's saying that the area is barren, and that means that there is nothing here for me, and I can just exit and restart the mission. Now, it's worth noting, obviously, that if you have Cephalon fragments, frame fighter data, or Mandicord bits and bobs, I can't remember what it's called now, that you haven't scanned, they will pop up, and the more you do this and the more stuff like that you scan, the more efficient your runs will become, because obviously, you know, it will tell you only when there is an Ayatan sculpture or a rare crate. So yeah, now that we know the area is barren, we're just going to leave and we're going to restart, and we're going to keep coming in and out until we find something. So this can take a while sometimes. I usually find that on average I will find something every 4 or 5 missions, and I won't lie to you, it will greatly improve the speed of farming if you have better hardware and you can load into games faster. So that is something to note. We are going to be loading in and out quite a lot until we find something. There we go. Second time lucky. So you can see here when we use Golden Instinct, it's going to fly out this little firefly that we're meant to follow a bit, but it dissipates very quickly. So my process for doing this, as soon as I know something's in the game with Golden Instinct, I will just clear out the start zone to make sure I don't miss it. If it is here, it's not there. You can see on the map, we've obviously used up everything. I am just going to go straight for the capture target now. And then what we're going to do, we are going to move a bit closer to the extraction point, because as you can see, it is way further to the extraction point than it was to the start. So let's get to where it's about 500 meters, and then we'll use our air support charge on the parallax. Now this may not pick it up. In fact, it's almost certainly not going to, but it did in this case. Happy days. So let's go ahead and have a look at that. Sometimes the area or the radius will be much less, so it'll be more likely to get picked up by the air support drop, but our one was like 700 meters to extraction, so it's nice that we managed to get that. Now that we've picked that up, we can obviously try again with our second ability, but as we can see, the area is now barren, so we can now just fly straight to extraction, and using Titania's 1, if you hold it down, you become immune to any kind of knockback, so I can fly very lazily and just bump into tons of walls and not really have to worry about anything and just get to extraction. So there we go. Even with me talking, that mission only took us a minute and a half. Probably would have been sub 1 minute if I hadn't been blabbering. at the start, and we managed to get ourselves an Ayatan via sculpture. So yeah, basically that is the gist of it. And sometimes you'll get sculptures, and sometimes you'll get rare crates, and sometimes you won't get anything at all, and sometimes you'll get both. And you just have to keep repeating it until you've obviously got everything that you want. So what I am going to do now is I am going to do this for 1 hour. So remember, we got 1 via sculpture now. So let's see how much we end up with in 1 hour's time. Alright guys, this is going to be my last one. We've actually been going about 1 hour and 2 minutes, so just a tiny bit over. I wanted to get one more in where we actually found something. So far we've had 2 rare crates that we found. So not too bad. I've had worse in an hour. As I said, you can sometimes get just none. But let's see what we get on this last run, and then we'll tally up what we have overall. So I'm going to actually move, let's move a bit closer over here, and I'm actually going to see which direction I'm going in before I launch my air support charge. So let's just pop down here. Good, okay, so I have to go back anyway. Right, let's head back here a bit, and then we'll use our air support charge again. I am getting very lost. There we go. This one's going to take a bit longer. Let's do it around about here. See if we find anything. Oop, there we go. Hiding. Good, good. Let's just check. There's nothing else. Nothing else at all. Let's get ourselves out of here. And do a final tally. I will see you guys back in the orbiter. Okay, guys. So as we saw there, 2 rare crates in the space of an hour. Not too bad. I've had better. I have also had worse. But unfortunately, we didn't get ourselves any more landing craft components, which kind of sucks. But yeah, if we take a look in our inventory, we can see that our detonite injectors have gone up to 34 now. And if we take a look in our mods and then Ayatan treasures, we can see we actually did pick up a fair few sculptures. So with the exception of the Anazo, which I actually got from doing the Archon hunt this week, we managed to get 3, 7, 11, 13, 18 minus 1, which we had at the start, so that's 17 sculptures in the space of 1 hour. So that's not too shabby at all. But before any of you think this is all a really good endo farm, do bear in mind that obviously you need the stars to go in these. I think with all the stars in, this probably is about 20k worth of endo, maybe slightly more, I'm not sure. But without the stars, this is probably still 8k, but for an hour's worth of farming, it's really not much to shout about, to be honest. And the amount of effort that goes into the build, it's a bit much, so don't use it for that. But yeah, as you can see, it is kind of lucrative in a sense. And we did manage to find, like I said, 2 crates. We got a 60-minute affinity booster from one, which I assume was a reinforced crate, and then we managed to get a 30-minute credit booster from the other, which I guess was just a rare crate. But like I said, no engine parts or whatever, so yeah, we'll have to keep going, I guess. But yeah, hopefully you guys found this video interesting at the very least. If you do have your own builds or takes on this, then do let me know down in the comments below. I am aware, as I said, that Lavos can reduce the cooldown of Golden Instinct, but I just find the super speed on Titania to be kind of the best way to go about it, and just get through the missions very quickly. So yeah, otherwise guys, if you did enjoy the video, please leave a like and subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one.